r/prorevenge. Dad destroys my mentality, I destroy his life. So this story might be juicy for some, and it's a different take on what happened in my life. My dad has always been an ass. But despite this, I never really stopped caring until recently. He beat my mom until they were no longer together. He almost killed her when I was 6. Then he turns around and becomes the best dad a child could want. Up until I was 13 he was a great dad, but a shithead to women. He would beat them, cheat, etc. Then he turned to emotionally abusing me. It was horrific. His abuse led to several suicide attempts. Found out that him being nice to us was purely to pull us away from our mother, who was already shit to us, but for a different reason, dealing with her trauma and what happened with him. He kicked me out. I was 16. I moved in with grandparents. He kicked me out again at 19 when he moved in with my grandparents. He chose women over me, left me for dead when I was sick, and proceeded to do everything he could to stop me from graduating college. At this time he was also abusing my stepmother and stepsister as well, almost taking my stepmother life as well. At this point I start talking to my stepmother and setting out my plan. I kept talking her up, giving her the courage to leave that horrible man. Her name was on everything. So once she left it was technically trespassing, which he got fined for and was facing jail time. He began begging for my help. Nope. I blocked his number. He then began turning violent again, threatening my brother and trying to find me. He walked a 4-hour drive to find us. He tried again. Nope. It was winter. At this point I began compiling evidence for a restraining order. I set my feelers out in every possible contact he had. Temporary shelter, left notes saying how dangerous he was. Distant relatives, told them the truth of what he has done. I held nothing back anymore. Due to his deteriorating mental health from isolation he was removed from the homeless shelter twice. He broke into a building to stay warm. I served him with court papers for my restraining order. The restraining order covered my brother, mother, who he was also harassing, my grandmother, my stepmother, my best friend, my workplace and my school. He ended up burning that building down. So they arrested him for arson as well. Come to the court date, this, what used to be a beast of man, was a shell of his former self. He used to be 400 pounds. He was half of that. He was old looking, scarred and grey. I took my stepmother and mother to court with me. I proceeded to tell the judge how I was scared most of my life, how he tried to take these women's lives, and how he ruined mine with my deteriorating mental health. How I tried to tell him I didn't want anything to do with him. The women beside me tell their stories too. He broke when the judge told him that she issued the order and how much it covered. He hurt my family. He tried killing every single one of us, either with physical force or emotional manipulation. Now he can't come within 500 feet of any of us, and no family will help him because of my claims. The day I got the order in the mail I cried out of sheer maniacal joy, knowing I just messed over the man who messed me and my loved ones for years. If you are reading this, know that you taught me one thing. Stand by family and ram everyone who harms family. You are never family, and you will forever be nothing more than a zit on society's ass. I'm glad you got what was coming to you, even if it took me literally years to do it. TLDR, homicidal dad tries harming everyone in my life, so I slowly blackball him out of everyone's life. Charge my debit card $250. Enjoy your break. Before we begin, I do want to let everyone know that this is my first story on Reddit and I'm on mobile, so I will try to get formatting correct. Also in this story there is no dialogue. For a little background, I'm a truck driver. I go all across the US and spend 99% of my time in my truck. It's not the most glamorous life, but I do enjoy it. After I started driving I decided to get myself a PlayStation 4 for the truck, so I can play on my downtime. I also got PlayStation Plus, so I could enjoy some online competition. But after a few months being on the road, it really wouldn't work out too well. Not a lot of good Wi-Fi signals at truck stops. So I did the only logical thing and cancelled the automatic renewal of my Plus account. Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago. Friday morning I'm outside of Seattle, Washington, and I wake up to a text and email from my bank account notifying me that there was some suspicious activity on my account. Every once in a while the bank will do this, as I may pay for food in Illinois one day, then in Nevada the next. So I log into my bank on my phone and my heart stops. Somehow PlayStation was charging my card $250, $247, $247, $75, and another $75. Luckily for me, I moved a majority of my money to my savings and not checking, so only the first $250 stuck and the rest were returned. Well, that isn't good, I thought, and proceeded to immediately call the bank and inform them that it wasn't me who made those charges. The bank put a claim on my card and it was immediately suspended. Great, no more card available to make purchases or withdraw funds with. They informed me my new debit card would arrive in the mail 10 business days later. I was still mad. Later on in the day I decided to call up PlayStation support and see if they could do anything on their end. They too put in a claim to get my money back. Sweet, I now have people working on it from two sides of the issue, but being the scornful person I am, it wasn't enough. Now it's time for some pro-revenge. After looking on my account to see if I recognize the person, I realized they hacked my account and added themselves as a child. Interesting, I thought. Well, with PlayStation, if you have a child account you can do some interesting things with that account. So here is what I did. Change their password. Maximum allowed time for online play is 0 minutes per day. Maximum age limit of games they can play is 1 year old. Internet browser was disabled. Unable to chat to friends. No Blu-rays were allowed to be played. No PSVR allowed. Only DVDs from the Netherlands are allowed to be played. No purchases allowed to be made with that account. After I got done, I felt euphoric about essentially having a PlayStation account he can't use. Now he has an expensive brick sitting in his living room. Oh, on a good note, PlayStation did refund my money 4 days later, including the weekend, and I was able to run by a local branch of my bank and have a temporary card issued to me. Had my half-brother removed from the will after he stole money from our father with Alzheimer's. Shortly after my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, my formerly estranged half-brother quit his job and moved in to help take care of my dad. Though there really wasn't enough money, it was agreed to pay him around $300 a week to make up for his missing income. During this time, my half-brother abruptly acquired durable power of attorney and usurped medical and financial. My mother and father had separate financial lives, decisions. Several documents relating to my dad's pension, which were now my half-brother's responsibility, were not turned in on time, resulting in my dad missing out on a one-time payout of $8,000 and lowering his pension payout by $300 MO. My half-brother then cleaned out my dad's remaining savings, about $3,000, not discover until about a month later. 6 days later, our father hung himself in the basement. My dad left all of his insurance money and belongings to my mother. Us children were left with only sentimental items. My half-brother was visibly upset and shaking when the will was read. He acknowledged that my mother was receiving everything and left. About a month later we discovered the missing money. Though he broke no laws, because he had power of attorney, we insisted he pay it back, even offered to let him make payments over a 2-year period. He refused and we have been no contact for 2 years now. Little did he know that he was in my mom's, his stepmother's, will. He would receive half of what is currently a $250,000 estate. I suggested to my mother that she remove him from the will. She did, and I'm now the sole beneficiary. He stole $3,000 now, only to lose out on $125,000 later. TL. Drive. Half-brother stole $3,000 from sick father, only to be removed from the will and miss out on $125,000 later. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more.